You there? Ah, oh, are we recording?
Yep, it shows recording. Yeah,
Sweet. Okay,
go
brilliant. So,
straight.
yes, everyone, welcome to the Millennial Motivation Podcast, and we have a powerful episode today. I am joined by Jason Badu, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago, and if you've listened to that podcast, you will know the value that was thrown around by Jason. But we've actually jumped onto another podcast because we want to talk, not as an interview, but we want to talk about the challenges, the struggles that we face on a weekly basis, and especially this week, any challenges and struggles that we have faced that you may be facing in your general life at the moment in time, in creating the business, in creating your movement, just to know that everybody else faces these challenges and how we are dealing with them, and to give you that value there to help you as well. So, Jason, first of all, welcome to the Millennial Motivation Podcast. How are you doing, my friend?
I am good. Thank you for having me back. I'm happy that you weren't titled me off our first podcast, and you wanted a round two. So here we are at it again. And you
Yes,
know
back
what?
at it.
I'm believing that whoever is listening, my hope for this podcast is this, right? For this episode, that when people are listening, they're not listening as like, just external outside people watching in, but they feel like it's actually a community right now, that like we are all sharing that same experience of what it means to be an entrepreneur, a business owner, a coach, artist, whatever you are. That when you're listening to this, when you're watching this, you're like, okay, we are all in this together. We are all feeling the same struggles, the same challenges. So I'm hoping that that's what really comes across throughout this episode. So thanks for having me back.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, and I think it's a good point that you touched on there. That I know, especially in my industry and about your industry as well. When you're creating a business, it can feel so lonely. You can feel so like there's no one else going through the same troubles, the same pains.
So
Even if you're,
lonely.
it's like where is like you're working, but you're like, okay, but am I doing the right path? Am I doing the right things? Like there's other people out there that are helping you out, but it's always great to speak to other people that are in your circumstance. And this could be you starting to create your movement, starting to get your message out there, compared to somebody who's in full on business. And it could be like all the challenges, all the struggles are faced, and it's good to get them out there and just to kind of discuss with somebody else. So no, it's great to
Yes.
have you on, Jason. And I know today we're going to offer some great value, but you're here to solve my problems today, Jason. So
And that's exactly what I'm thinking about you. Like, James, you solve my problem and I solve yours, and we just charge each other and just keep the cycle going.
well, we were talking about before the podcast, we were running through the topics that we wanted to talk about. And we were talking through, and I'm like, okay, I'm facing the exact same that he's talking about. And as like, oh yeah, I face that, but I've got like, something that I used to overcome that. And it's great when you see
That's what
that
I
as
like to hear.
well. Yeah, some great value
100%,
to be thrown
because,
around.
and when we were, obviously lining up, the areas that we were going to be discussing today, I'm thinking, oh, wow, I actually never heard about the certain points that you were bringing up. But I was thinking to myself, why haven't I heard about that before? Because it sounds like such a, not like common sense, but I'm like, that's such a powerful tool that like everyone should have that in their repertoire. So I feel like 100% when we dive into these topics, yeah, it'll be very powerful. So how are we gonna start it off? Where do we begin? What
Well,
happens next?
let's jump in then. So first of all, I know we've briefly discussed the challenges that you've been facing kind of this week, over the past couple of weeks. So if you want to touch off first of all and give us kind of one particular challenge and one particular kind of focus that you've been working on over this past week, then we can kind of delve into that further, and then we can take it one by one.
Okay, too
We'll
easy.
alternate.
No more holding back. Let's dive right into it. So obviously, we're here to discuss what kind of challenges we've been going through out in our week, and how we can kind of just bring it to the podcast now and do deep dives on it. And one of the things that, not just for this week, but just continuously running through my mind is, what is the processes? What things can I do? And I'm interested to hear what things you do in determining what opportunities to take that are presented to you versus which ones you kind of leave to the wayside. I think everyone has their own processes or their own values for how they choose what to take. But I'm interested in hearing your scenarios, your strategies, your experience on determining what opportunities to take when you're making moves in your business.
Yeah, well, first of all, is these opportunities that you are actively creating, or these opportunities that people are coming to you and offering?
I would say both, but for now, let's focus on ones that people are bringing to you.
Okay. I think um when in the book that I'm reading at the moment in time, which I know I'm going to touch on, it's just the one thing. They talk in the book that when you say no, you're also saying yes to. I think you're also saying yes to everything else. So when you say yes, you are saying yes to everything else. It's something along them lines. It's all about, I think, on my personal experiences, it's all remembering why you are doing this and focusing on that end goal. So I know once again, I get this, the opportunities we want to take this opportunity. It's the kind of shiny object syndrome, and you think,
Yeah,
I
definitely.
want to be like, you think being busy is good, you think having these opportunities is good, but it's maybe taking that opportunity and thinking, right, okay, what will this opportunity bring towards my why? How will this opportunity move me forward?
Mm.
And maybe analyzing it against your why are you doing this and the overall goal and the next steps is going to be in kind of in your journey. um how have you been kind of siphoning these opportunities then?
Well, I'm somewhat okay. So I'm very much. I'll admit right off the bat, I'm someone who's very much a people pleaser. When people bring opportunities to me and they say, "Jason, can you do this? Can you do that?" I just have the need to please. I just want to let people know if this is what you want, I'm gonna try to get it to you. I'm trying to give it to you. So that's also that's like my strength. That's my gift, but it's also been my curse. And on one of
Mm,
my latest YouTube uploads, I was speaking about killing FOMO, which I feel like kind of lends itself to what you're speaking about. When you say yes to something, you're kind of saying no to other things, and when you're saying no to something, you're saying yes to other things. And we always want that shiny object kind of that drill, right? So for me, it's always trying to like recalibrate into my mind, kill FOMO. I need to get rid of the fear of missing out, the fear
mm,
of what if, the fear of I need to have it. I need to be like another person who attends the party to make sure that I see what's going on.
yeah.
Being able to let go of that need there is like one of the big things I always need to do to myself. And then also, being able to just say, being able to let go and say no to people, because me being someone who likes to people please and likes to make sure people like me and whatnot, which can be such a crutch and such
Yeah.
a downfall in business. Being able to continuously say to myself, okay, some things you can't control. You can't control if people like you, and in certain opportunities that are coming, I might be saying yes purely because I want to please someone else. And I imagine some people who are listening, they might be saying yes to opportunities purely because they're trying to people please. They're not saying yes because they
Yeah,
value,
100%.
like they feel like their spirits in it. That's where their calling is. They're saying yes purely because they have the fear of missing out. They're trying to people please, or they just have like that anxiety, like I just need that shiny object. So putting it into proper perspective, that's one of the I think it's one of the
Oh,
key things that I always try to remember
yeah.
for myself, in regards to what opportunities I should be taking. And then like you said before, like for myself, it needs to be able to say, I need to be able to say that it is getting me to the end goal. If it's not aligning with my values, then it most likely might not be something that, you know, really I should be dedicating my energy towards.
Yeah.
The hard part at times, though, will be how do I know, even if it's not immediately meeting my values, maybe potentially in the future it might. So, for example, right, and I'll pass the question back to you after this. For example, someone comes to me with an opportunity, say a speaking gig or whatnot, right? And the speaking gig isn't exactly in line with what I'm trying to do in the bigger picture of my values. However, the way I see it, maybe if I do this gig, I can get some network, some connections out of it that can later on point me in the direction of where I'm trying to be. So what are
Yes.
your
Yeah.
thoughts on that? Do you look at like kind of like the second order consequence, the third order consequence, as Ray Dalio puts it? Do you look further down the track, or does it need to bring you immediate alignment?
Well, I think that's really powerful, and the fact that, okay, that this speaking gig that I've been offered or any particular opportunity, yes, that might not be in line with my values and my beliefs or where I want the business to go. But by going along, that can allow me to network. It'll also grow your own skills in regards to confidence, your public speaking ability, your ability to network and meet new people. So there's a lot of benefits, and it's maybe weighing up the benefits. So you look at, okay, if I go along to this speaking gig, what benefits am I going to get that are going to get me towards my end goal? What benefits am I going to get that are going to increase my values and beliefs? And looking at it from a positive aspect and not a negative aspect, which I think is so easy to do. And yeah, I think there is a fear of missing out. But there's a great point that I read recently that for me, you try and keep everything in your life on kind of a plateau. So everything's level, everything's running nice and smooth. And by taking different opportunities, you're keeping that nice and smooth when you are going down different rabbit holes and taking different paths. But when you focus on one particular path, and let's say it's just your pure end goal, and you've got all these other little distractions, other little areas in your life that aren't really aligned towards that end goal, then they are going to fall short. They are going to be all messy. They are all going to be everywhere, up and down. But as long as you are keeping on that path towards your end goal, then you've got to expect, and you've got to be happy to. Do you know what? These are going to fall down by its side. These are going to be messy. These are going to be, maybe people are going to be disappointed that I am not going to a speaking gig, or people may be disappointed that I am not connecting with them and networking, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But you are aligned and focused on the end goal and your pure values and your core belief, and that will get you there towards your success. Because you are focused on that. And I think that's hard because we have a fear of missing out. We feel like our lives should be so not messy. Sometimes we struggle, but I think we have to allow mess. We have to allow some people to be disappointed or to be frustrated at us. And like you said, not to please everybody, to please yourself. That makes sense.
That's exactly it. You know what? Let me pose a question to you. If you had to guess, right, what percentage of people do you believe are very much people pleasers that say yes purely for the sake of trying not to stir the pot? Like, if you had to say however many people out of 10 were actually, people pleasers they don't go with what they truly feel, they're just going with trying to, conform and, not stir the pot. What percentage or
keep the peace
rate do you think that is?
Right, I'm going to do this as an example on my life then. I'm trying to think of, this is difficult now because I'm trying to think of people who I know who go against the grain, who try and kind of push back. I'm going to say it's out of 10, one person maybe, if most.
Well,
I
I'll
feel
say, those I find, and I do apologize for cutting off, those I find who, are at the top, I find a lot of them do successfully, detach themselves from that need of having to people please. While I find a lot of my friends, a lot of peers, a lot of people that I respect have great ability, so many times I hear them say, "Oh, I want to do this, but my family feels this way about it," or "I want to do this, but I don't know what they're going to say about it." So I feel like it's actually very potent and very widespread throughout the common population. But I'll let you continue because I know I cut you off. Sorry about that.
No. It's no. A question back to you then is: so, what do you think the difference is between your friends and your family who are kind of stationary and people pleasers compared to this person who is successful, who's going against the grain? What do you think is the difference between of why they have done that?
I feel like there's no one answer, but there's definitely it's kind of I feel like it could be a cocktail of things. Certain people put in such desperate situations, for example, someone what's his name? Eric Thomas, E.T., the hip hop preacher, right? When you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful, right? He always speaks about being homeless. He always speaks about, it taking him 10 or 12 years to get his GED. He speaks about how hard and how much he needs to struggle. So that kind of rock bottom that he's hit has created that fire within him that says, I will never go back to mediocrity.
Yeah.
So that was his catalyst, like for myself in my life, I've been someone, I've always been in environments where I felt very out of place. I've always been like quite a minority within like my school groups, social groups. So for me, I'm kind of used to being someone who is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So when I'm stepping out, I'm not stepping out into something that I've never felt before. I've felt uncomfortable before, but I've still done it. My whole life has always been like a very fish out of water feeling. So for me, just the fact that I've grown up in, uncomfortable situations, for me, I can step out. But I guess that's like two examples. For one, it might be like, a terrible traumatic experience. For me, it's being used to being in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
Others may not have that. What are your thoughts?
I think it does come from a lot of pain. So, and that's not pain caused by, and it can be, it's pain caused by maybe uncomfortable circumstances, or pain caused by, I forget the guy's name, the hip hop guy that you mentioned, of his past, and it's the pain not to settle for that pain again, and that mediocrity that drives them forward and thinks, you know what, nothing's going to get in my way. I want to achieve this. But I think it can also come from, like, if anybody's listening now thinking, well, I haven't got this traumatic story, or I haven't got this
Yeah.
huge pain. I've just come from a normal kind of working class family, and I'm just normal maybe. And it's a pain of and which is something that I use as well. It's the pain of looking at my future. It's a pain of sitting back and thinking, right, okay, if I was to work in 30, 40 years in a job that I
Mm,
didn't like, for somebody else, towards somebody else's goals, to somebody else's values and someone else's beliefs, and I'm just going to be someone who's going to settle for that, the pain that I'm going to feel at the end of that from regret, from actually never taking action,
yeah.
is just going to drive me insane. So I'm looking at my future pain. I don't want to be there, because that to me it's as horrible as it sounds. And if I was to get to that point, and I'm very grateful for where I am in my life at the moment in time. I have the simplicities of life, the basics, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah.
But if I was to then be, and it's a platform to build upon, and if I was to be then in 40 years' time, looking back, thinking I never actually was consistent, I never stuck with it, I never take action, I always was there just to keep everybody happy and never had my values and beliefs intact, then that pain is just going to be, I'm going to be so disappointed in myself. And I
Mm,
feel like I've wasted this huge opportunity that so many people have in this life, which that so many people don't act upon. And
mm,
another thing that you said as well is, I think, my opinion is why we have people who settle, who are people pleasers maybe, but never actually push through that. Then somebody who thinks, who goes out there and pisses people off maybe, and annoys them and frustrates them, and isn't liked by everybody. It's because the guy on the right, or the lady or whoever who is pushing through
yeah.
and creating this movement momentum, they are aligned to their why. They are aligned to their values and beliefs, and they truly believe, because they've taken the
Mm,
time to actually go, this is what I believe in, this is my values, this is what I want from life, this is where I'm going to
that's
go. And that's about
powerful.
taking the time away to actually think about that. And I think that's the big difference. The people who are settling, friends, family, I know I have them, there's loads of them, the 9 out of 10s, they are just going to be like, they've never taken the time to actually go, well, this is what I want from life, this is what I believe in, this is what I'm going to live by. They just think about it maybe and then just push it away. Whereas the
Yeah.
people who are actually creating the movement and momentum, they actually live and breathe by that, and therefore they just want to say, "I'm this is my journey. I don't care if I piss you off."
I think that is a great segue, right? Because you spoke about those who can snap into the different mindset of I'm going to go for this, like they are aligned with their values. I have well, I'm saying this now, right? I'm just kind of making this up now, but I feel like everyone would have that one thing, the one thing that they will go against the world for, It may not be
Yeah,
many things that you'll break status quo for, but it may be that one thing that you're passionate enough about that you'll break status quo. And about being aligned with your values, one of the things to get to that place is having better self-awareness, right? And that is something that and I'm always trying to think about that as well. But this week, particularly, how can I have better self awareness for myself? I know there's many ways to do so, but me being here now, I want to hear James Hackney's. I want to hear, the Millennial podcast, motivation podcast host ways on how you create better self-awareness for yourself. What kind of strategies do you have? Do you have certain routines, certain people you speak to, certain tools you use, or is it just kind of like as it happens kind of thing? How do you create better self-awareness for yourself?
So this is something that I actively try to do on a weekly basis. I know life gets in the way and it's a focal point, but to raise kind of self-awareness, I think it's all about, which is something I do, is stopping. Is literally taking time out of your day, out of your week, and just stopping and sitting back and thinking, right, okay, no phones, no technology. And I use a pen and paper. I used to do it on my computer, like type away, but it never actually went in. Like I couldn't really focus. So I started writing it down. And on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday night, I sit down with like just like a general notepad, and I write down just okay, right. How I put on the top, how is my life going? And I write them down. Okay, so I write down different areas of my life. So I've got the podcast, I've got my coaching business, I've got my self improvement, and I've got just general things that are going on in my life that are important to me. And there's changes; they change on a weekly basis, even like the day after, a couple of days later basis. And so on like a Monday, I'll sit down and I'll go about the podcast. Okay, what's going well? What do I like? What do I like about it? What would I like to change? And then same with coaching, the same with the self-improvement aspect. And if there's anything else that is big in my life at that moment in time, and I know when my stepdad was taken ill, that was going down. Okay, right. Okay, what is important about this? And that raises the awareness of, okay, he's ill. I need to really be there for my mom. How can I be there for my mom? And this is just like a 10-minute exercise. And you don't have to then, because you're doing this 3 times a week, you don't have to then be like, reading it every single day. It's just making yourself being conscious about it, and then that's allowed me, especially with kind of my stepdad who's unfortunately coming towards the end of his life now, is to focus on my mum. It's just right, okay, how can I help my mum? What does she enjoy doing? And as silly it sounds, my mum used to enjoy going out for meals. So like, because she can't do that now, I'm like, right, okay, I'm gonna once a month, I'm gonna take my mum out for a meal because she deserves that. She's going through a lot. And that wouldn't have made me aware if I hadn't taken that time out to actually break it down. And it's not a long
100%.
exercise. It's 10 minutes before you go to bed on a
Doesn't
Monday,
take
Wednesday,
long.
Friday night.
Yeah. You don't need to throw your whole week into it. You can just, like you said, 10 minutes, and that can render you so much, return of investment, because I like to say, you can't change what you don't understand. And many times, right, when you walk into a brand new situation in life, whether it's a new a job interview or, a new role anywhere, for example, right? And you have certain things that may trigger you. You're anxious about stuff, you're nervous, someone says a comment to you and you take it, to heart, you feel disrespected. And you kind of, many times what we do is we kind of have like a cop out, really, where it's like, well, that's just me. I can't change how I feel. But really, it's a matter of you don't understand truly how you feel and why you feel it. And if you did truly understand yourself and why you felt that way, you can then begin to question whether that is a way you want to live your life. And I feel like being able to at least question how you feel, at least question, your belief system, and try to come at it from a new perspective, letting go of what you used to believe and saying, can there be another way to look at this that can take you a whole further, it's a whole other playing field of, okay, now when that situation comes up again, I can see it with new lenses. So 10 minutes. 10 minutes is all you had to dedicate it to it just to get to that next level.
Yeah.
For myself, I'm very much OCD. Like, I know it's an area I need to work on. I do. I'm a big overthinker at times, and that's areas I know I need to work on. But I will reflect all week, all day, like just continuously. If I feel something, if something happens, I need to analyze it. I need to say, why did I feel that way? What caused it? What was I thinking during that period? Is that a rational, Is that the way to be thinking about the situation? Is there another way I can think about the situation? I try to I kind of debate with myself. I debate with my own mind. You know what I mean? And I'm like, may the best debater win. And then whatever thought pattern, whatever perspective, you know what I mean?
You're not
Like
getting
it's the great debate.
falling out of yourself.
I'm just going toe to toe, and not in like I'm gonna lose like my soul kind of way. Like obviously I know take a break, calm down. Like that's just it's something that I can do where I value it, I enjoy it. I can kind of detach from the world for a bit
Yeah.
with it. Um, but just doing that allows me to get better self awareness out of myself, just to say, okay, well maybe the reason I'm feeling this way is because I had a bit of insecurity, feeling that I'm not good enough in a certain situation. When this person said that comment, that brought up certain triggers that made me feel that, that what's that phrase? I forgot what that phrase is. The imposter syndrome. Is that the
Yes.
truth of the situation? Should I really be looking at the situation in that way? No, I shouldn't be. Okay, next time that situation comes up, be ready. You know, be ready and be ready to say to yourself, don't worry, Jason. This is just imposter syndrome trying to trick you right now. It's
Yeah.
okay. Keep moving forward. So those are my strategies. Those are ways I try to come about it. And I think you're about to say something, so
Yeah.
I'll let you keep going.
Yeah. I'm really interested in that because you mentioned that you deal with this, you run it through your mind. And for me, that is something that I would really struggle with running it through my mind because I can get overwhelmed. I have all this information running around my mind.
Oh
Like I
yes,
forget
don't
what I've
try
been
this at
thinking
home.
5 minutes ago. This is a warning, everybody. Don't try this at home.
Do not
so
try
how
this
do
at
you,
home.
so how do you then go about then next time this happens, remembering the process that you went behind and you went through, and remembering how you dealt with this, if that makes sense? How do you, like, the next time it happens, think, okay, this has happened before, this is how I deal with it last time, this is how I can deal with this now, it's happening now? How do you do that? Do you write it down? Do you?
Yes, exactly that. I journal it. Obviously,
Okay.
when I say I run it through my mind, like that's like stage one. You don't
Yeah.
want to keep everything in your mind. That's a bit like maniacal. You want to
Yeah, yeah,
eventually
yeah.
bring it out, release it, write it down, or type it up, however you want to go about it, and use it as like your your memory book. So you can take time to reflect upon that later on throughout the week. You know what I mean? Take that 10 minutes again, as you're saying. Take 10 minutes, reflect upon it, and begin to practice it. You have to practice it. If you don't practice it, you will not habituate it, or whatever the term will be. You need to turn it into a habit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So the worst thing I can do is think of a higher perspective to have on a situation and never come back to it, or never practice it, or never be alert for when that situation is popping up again. Because I need to turn it into a habit. I need to make it second nature. So, like you said, write it down and then be sure to think about when that situation can come up again and practice it on when that situation comes up. Don't be passive.
Yeah.
Put it into work. Really use it. Utilize it.
So Jason, what made you aware to be more self-aware? So what made you to think I need to be more self-aware? How did that come about?
I'll tell you what, it's gonna be as a unintentionally. My brother is probably the biggest basketball uh fanatic you'll meet ever, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
absolute fanatic, maniac. I love it. He actually changed my life, right? I'm not saying it in a way to like disrespect him. Like I love the man. But throughout my upbringing, right, I was the youngest in my family of three. Um, and obviously you always look up to your older siblings. I don't know if you have siblings, but for myself, I look
Yeah, yeah.
up to older siblings. And we would always sit down and he'll just break down basketball. He'll break down the plays. He'll be like, this is why that happened. He didn't, not enough spacing here. He needed to run that cut and this and this and this. And he just pinpoints every little mechanical cog of why that play worked or not. And I think by just being around that energy, I also began to break stuff down. So, but me, I love basketball, but basketball isn't my muse. For me, my
Yeah.
muse is psychology. So instead of me breaking down basketball, I break down how people think. I break down how I feel. So that's what I think got me more into self-awareness, because I always kind of had a pull towards psychology. But the idea of always trying to break down and create better self-awareness, I think was my upbringing of being around my brother and him always breaking down basketball and just bringing that into my own life and putting my own spin on it, you know? So a bit of a, a strange
Yeah.
origin, but the origin nonetheless.
This is where things come from. It's always like strange origins, like light bulb moments, aha moments, and
But I let me ask you then, because
yeah.
you've been doing the motivational personal development, being been in the game for a while now. What first got you into it? What was your rise to where you are now?
So what kind of kick-started my journey was a number of events, which I know I've touched on in the podcast. Just to give you kind of a brief overview, give you Jason, is that um, September 2017. I laugh at it now. It was a funny story. So
Mm.
I was settling in a relationship that I knew I wasn't happy in, but for some
Oh
stupid
wow.
reason, I brought a house with her, and we moved in. And then 2 weeks later, I
Wow,
found.
good.
Oh man, no! And then I found she was with and I remember being in the house, and we've only been there a week, and I remember thinking to myself, "Is this it?" Like people are telling me now that I've got to go and pay. I'm going to have no holidays for 25 years. I'm going to be paying bills for my whole life, and then it's a blessing in disguise because a week later, I found her with another guy in the house. Time it was crushing. It
Oh,
was really bad. The house went up for sale, but in that period of time, my nan passed away suddenly from cancer. My auntie passed away from cancer, and I was like, okay, something's happening from this experience that tells me that I really need to value life.
mm.
Life's important. And my nan passed away like she was fine, and then 12 days later she was dead. And I'm like, right, something here now is telling me. And then I really, really hit rock bottom. And I started just to think, right, okay, I don't want to be like this. And I did a podcast about it the other day about your eulogy, which is
Oh
taking time
wow.
out and taking time out. It's from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and writing out kind of how I wanted to be remembered. And I'd been in the house for 2 weeks, and it was in April after my auntie's funeral, and I was like just not eating, not drinking, not sleeping, just like shut in completely. And I was sitting down and being like, right, I want to write out how I want to be remembered. So I'm writing
Yeah.
all this shit out, and I'm like, okay, this is completely different to how I am feeling right now. This is complete world away.
Oh.
So I was like, okay, how am I now going to get to where I want to be? And then I started to do it. And then went traveling. Yes, stereotypical traveling changed me. So I was it completely changed me. And the big moment for me, it was huge, is I got back from traveling and I'd started to bring this self development and cut away friends that were keeping me poor and keeping me settling. And
Yeah.
I was like in my from 18 to 23, 24, I was out every weekend. I was drinking, doing loads of stuff and just going crazy. And that was what I was known for, just being someone who was always up to party. And it was
Mm.
then I was like, right, okay, I need to break away from these people because I'm going to continue doing that, drinking in the same pubs, the same places. So when I got back from traveling, it was a friend's dad's birthday, 50th birthday. I thought, okay, I'm gonna go along. I haven't seen these
Yeah.
guys in like 6, 7 months. I'll go along. And I
Yeah.
walked in the pub, and I turned up a little bit late. The pub was busy, and I walked in, and I was like, oh, hi guys. And then within 10 seconds of them speaking, I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want to
Oh.
be around them. And I was like, you guys are having the same conversations. You're complaining, you're moaning about the same things you were complaining and moaning about 9, 10 months before. And I'm like, and then I could see, it just sounds really bad, this does. I could see their mum and their dads. I could see their uncles, their aunties. And I'm like, they're complaining about the same shit you are complaining about, but they're 20,
Yeah.
30 years older. And I'm like, I have advanced so much in the past 6, 7 months that, and it sounds horrible, that I want to help people to break free from this because this is an
Yeah.
opportunity where we can achieve so much. And then the key for it all was it got to about 12 o'clock at night. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go home now. Like, I'm fine. And then they're like, oh, you're coming up to, and my friends are like 26, 28, 29. They're like, oh, you're going to come up to
Yeah.
town. Like, and I must admit, I'm from Stoke-on-Trent. And if anyone's ever been to Stoke-on-Trent, the nightlife is horrendous, but people go up every week. And then he said to me, exact words, he's like, are you coming to town tonight? I'm like, no, mate, I'm just going to go home. And he goes, oh, you're boring, you are. And I just stopped.
Oh,
I was
what?
like, I've just got back from traveling the world for 6 months. I'm like, and I'm boring. And then from now on, I knew that, right, I need to help people to really make the most of this opportunity, to really live life, live in a passion, and to the raw feeling that I got from traveling of
Yeah.
it sounds weird. I had like I'm in New Zealand and I could feel like life running through my veins, and I can feel it now as I talk about it. And I felt life running through my veins. I felt passion, desire, happiness, and I was like, oh my god! And I want people to have that feeling in their
Yeah.
own passion, in their own desires, their own dreams. And that was then like, right, how do I do this? And then it led on to the podcast, to coaching, and yeah, incredible. So
You
there we
you
go. There's a long story.
you put it so well. You put it so well that while you're going through it towards the start, when you were letting me know, like, the rock bottom season, I was like, okay, I understand. Like, I could feel, how messed up and intense that situation will be, because that's
Mm,
like one blow after the other. That was nonstop, and I can imagine that would have been for anyone, that would have been a very, very, very low place. Even explaining it now may not fully capture how, maybe dark that season was.
yeah,
And then as you're going through it and you're explaining, how you have, like, the rise of going traveling, and that feeling you experience that you kind of want to share. It's like, it's not enough to just have it
yeah,
be yourself. Like you say, you want the world to share that same feeling, which is, I feel, what life's all about: being able to share that feeling of fulfillment with others, and everyone embrace that as a community and together.
yeah,
Um, and,
100%.
and then you reach the point where I thought to myself, I think everyone who's listening to the podcast can resonate with the feeling of being at a party, and within 10 seconds, you're like, why am I here? Why did I subject
Yeah,
myself to this torture? Who brought me here? Whose fault is this? Just the
yeah,
whole nine yards, right? And then lastly, the thing that really stood out to me as well is the fact that you brought up, the parents of those people who were there as well, and how, like, it's like generational cycles, and the cycles generation is underappreciated. It's underrespected of how
mm,
much you need to be able to identify, and if need, break the cycles of what, your
yeah,
ancestors and your parents may be putting onto your own life, because, as a child, you're kind of ignorant to that situation. But they're definitely, if you don't address it, then before you
yeah.
know it, you become like a spitting image of them.
Oh, mate, I completely agree with that 100%. And it sounds horrible. I use my grandparents, and I used to listen to what they were telling me,
Mm,
and I love them to bits. I adore my grandparents, but especially my granddad, he always says, "Live your dreams, do what you need, do what you want to do, like go out there and live your life." And then I never used to pay attention to it, but I pay
mm,
attention to it now because they're speaking out of experience of actually never doing it. They're speaking out of regret, if you know what I mean. And I don't know if
mm.
you hear that from any of your older family or people like that who are maybe just settled for working for somebody and never done anything what they never done what they wanted to do. But like, and then I realized that my granddad is telling me not because it's a cliche. He's actually telling me because this is his experience of life.
Yeah. Mm.
And this links
No, I see
into
what you
that,
mean.
and that links into really what kind of the struggle that I've been facing this week of kind of realizing this is my own journey and then comparing
Mm.
that journey to other people, because everyone's on their own journey and they face their own struggles, and you compare yourself to people who are maybe vastly successful than you, who are 2 years younger, who are you've seen them on Instagram, you've seen them on like YouTube.
Yeah, it can be a sting. You're like,
Yeah.
why are
So
you
how
18 and a billionaire? This is
exactly, exactly. And everyone's got their own story. So how do you deal with that, Jason? I want to put it to you of when you see people online, you see these people online who are achieving huge success, first of all, because not everything that's online is true. But how do you deal with
Mm.
not comparing yourself to other people and then feeling like, oh, like disappointing yourself, or maybe the frustration?
I find that if you stare long enough into the abyss will stare back at you. And what
Ooh, I
that
like
means
that.
try not to be. I won't try to be too philosophical. That's not my own saying as well. That's some smart person said that one time. But you
can use it
can't
again.
be around. Yeah, I'll just take it for myself. But you can't be anywhere for too long without it influencing you. You can't watch anything for too long without you kind of buying into that situation, you know. And environment's so important. So let's make it as simple as possible. Social media, right? Such a powerful tool, crazy technology that lets you connect with anyone around the world. But if you sit on social media all day and keep scrolling, I don't care how tough you are mentally, eventually you're gonna start looking at those people. You're gonna be like, well, why don't I don't have that? Or who do you think you are? Or why is my life not like this? And it's something that you don't go on it trying to be that person. But if you don't watch yourself, if you don't moderate yourself, and if you don't, take healthy doses of it, eventually it will begin to seep upon you. So for me, in answering your question, how do I make sure to keep my journey my own and not anyone else's and not try to compare myself? It's a matter of I need to pull away every once in a while. Every once in a while, I need to realize I'm not built to keep looking at other people's lives and pretend like I'll always be fine. Sure, look for a while, get some inspiration out of it, get some motivation out of it, but then detach, go away, go somewhere else, be by yourself, go experience nature again, be around your friends, just enjoy your own life. Because eventually, if you don't, the abyss will begin to look back at you and you'll begin to get pulled into that. Also, I think for myself and I think for anyone really, you need to have the faith that your life can be something too, because
Yes, 100%.
One of the things that will create and fuel the jealousy is like that fear of I can't have that. You want it, but you can't have it. But when you realize like it's within your power to gain that kind of access, that kind of fulfillment as well, you'll say, why am I going to waste time here? Let me get busy fulfilling it for myself. So, it can be very complicated at times, but it can be very simple at times as well. Just don't stay in the environment too long. Don't let your life be ruled by it. I hear Gary Vaynerchuk say stuff like, social media isn't bad. Anyone who says that social media influences people badly is because like those people already had those insecurities or whatever, which I disagree with. Like I feel like he's right to a certain extent, but social media definitely amplifies it, right? If you have a cut, if you cut yourself, it's different from having a cut versus a full-blown severing of your hand. Like something can be in the seed of it, but the more you fuel, the more you the more you water it, and it grows. Before you know it, it's like a catastrophe, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like social media definitely needs to be respected as for what it is. It's a tool. Tools can be either positive or negative, and if you don't monitor social media as a tool and not as your best friends, it will, it can bite back. So that's my take on that. That was a long rant as well, but I'll give it back to you.
No, it's some great value, and you touched on there about really if you kind of give your energy to social media, if you focus on that. And there's a guy who was my mentor when I created the podcast, who called Sam Crowley, and he says that and this might be once again copied off somebody else, but it's great value. He says that where focus flows, energy goes. So if you're focusing on social media, if you're focusing on that, your energy will slowly start to focus upon that subconsciously.
100%.
And I think that that's something that we're all guilty of. I hold my hand up. God, at times I've been like just scrolling through, and then you're focusing on it. You really think about it, and you live within that six-inch screen. But how do you then break away? Because it's easier said than done. Because you're looking for the dopamine, you're looking for the likes, you're looking for this, you're looking for that. Have you breaking away and broke free of that? Or not saying that you have broken free, but how do you then go, okay, this is enough. I am now going to focus on something else.
One is experience. If you experience, you've gone through the fire of like knowing when social media's had your heart, and you're like, I'm deep in it right now, like I'm trapped, it's got my neck. You're like, well, okay. It's right at you there.
Yeah.
And you eventually come out of it and you're like, okay, well, next time, you put your hand on the fire burns you. As a child learns if he puts his hand on the fire, it's going to burn him, he won't do it again. So one of the things is you begin to learn and you begin to get used to the signs of I've had enough. So experience
What signs
one.
are them? What signs?
If you begin to just have more frequent thoughts of like jealousy and more frequent thoughts of insecurity, I feel like those are good signs already that like, okay, maybe you need to get off it. Like what is here that you need right now? And then also for myself, right, like as I was saying before earlier on in the podcast, I'm someone who always likes to self-reflect and have deeper self-awareness. So for myself, I'll say, why am I on social media right now? What am I trying to get out of social media right now? Most of the time, 10 out of 10 times not 10 out of 10 times, like either I'm there for business, put out content, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not there for that, I'm there to connect. So I'm trying to find connection, but the connection I'm finding is very perverted or it's very unfulfilling. It's very shallow connection. I'm like, Jason, this isn't the connection you need. You need a proper face-to-face, sit down with a friend and just, be vulnerable if you need to be vulnerable, express yourself, you need to express yourself, enjoy a good laugh or whatever. Do what we're doing now. This is rich because we're going back and forth. It's just our focus is purely on one another, conversation. So that's the kind of connection I'm looking for. And when I'm journaling and I'm setting those reminders to myself, okay, I've been on social media for quite a long time now. What am I doing here? I'm looking for connection. Is it the kind of connection that I'm needing? No, the kind of connection you're needing is a good face-to-face of a true friend. All right, let's put that into place. So
I love that.
Staying self-aware as well. That I feel like that I'll see the signs that are coming when I need to eject.
I love that. No, I think that's a great point. That it's. I think maybe sometimes people go searching for that connection that you're talking about, this face-to-face interaction on social media, like on Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and they hope that that's going to fulfill that. When in reality, the only thing that's going to fulfill that is a general conversation back and forth, you learning off somebody else, or going out into nature, going out into the wild, and going for walks, meeting people, and just taking time. It's all about taking time out as well, and as you said, making yourself more self-aware as you talk to other people. And I used to struggle with the fact that I preach a lot about social media and about how it's not great, how people are addicted to it, like the phones, the sex extreme, like being just absorbed in it. Like, and then I was like, okay, but I need to grow my business though online. Like, I want to connect with people, want to network.
It's the craziest thing, right? It's like a trap. Like, you need to be on it because it's so effective. But you're like, oh, yeah, keep going.
No, exactly. That is the exact frustration that I get. But then I had a coaching session from a coach. Obviously no one else, but I had a coaching session, and he got me to think that to treat Instagram is not a social media platform, but it's a business platform. So I when I go on Instagram now, I'm on there because it's a business platform, and it's completely changed my mindset now, because I'm not sat there thinking what other people think of me, because I am now networking with people like yourself, Jason. We're having back to full conversations about kind of topics for what we're going to be talking about, or growing my business, and that's going to help me long term. So that kind of mindset shift of seeing the Instagram and social media as a business platform and not social media, really, really helped me just to not be arguing with myself in my head.
100%. And that's so powerful, because what I'm hearing from you then, right, is before you even jump on it, you set yourself an expectation of what you want from it. You're not trying to go and get, social connection. You're trying to go get professional business connection. And that's a whole different mindset. So even now when you're on it, like, at least you have a bit of that subconscious in you saying, I'm here for business. I'm here for business. I'm here for business. I'm not here to scroll all day and, partake in whatever you can find on Instagram, which is everything. I'm I'm here to connect. I'm here to network. And even just before you go into a situation, I feel like for anyone listening who, is trying to say, how can I begin to utilize and accelerate my mindset better? Before you even walk into a situation, already tell yourself, what is it I'm trying to get out of this? So that when you walk into it, you know exactly what the mission is. You know exactly what the objective is. Specify it, be precise before you walk on. Don't walk in lackadaisical, walk in with precision and an objective in mind before you go on it in the first place. So I love what you said there. That was beautiful.
No, that's good as well. And I think that comes down to what we've mentioned earlier on in the podcast about you're focusing upon that direction of your end goal, and you're ignoring all these other distractions. You're ignoring all the bits of information, the kind of the social status, the social likes and comments, and you're kind of focusing, right, okay, I'm on here for this particular reason, and nothing else is going to stop me from my agenda. Okay, yes, sometimes I do that and I get deviated. I find myself watching some football videos on Instagram and I'm like, James, you've wandered off again. But and I think it's a topic that we've kind of touched on quite a lot during this podcast, is that being self-aware. So when I find myself getting distracted and I find myself, it's so easy to do that. 1 minute you're connecting, and then the next minute you're watching some video that has nothing to do with your agenda. Is then being self-aware, going, okay, I recognize this, I realize this, let's go back to my agenda. And that's okay. And that's something that I've learned in meditating, that okay, it's just a thought, now let's go back to breathing, like listen to yourself breathing with meditation. So then you can then go back, and then once you start getting into the habit of recognizing when you're getting distracted, the amount of time before you actually recognize, okay, this will start to cut down. So you're catching it as soon as you find yourself scrolling off. And it's all about practice. It's all about learning and developing and all on your journey, and really recognizing that.
Well, that's such an interesting point you said there, because, well, two things. One is the first thing we brought up was opportunities, right? Which opportunities to take. What gives you more opportunities than social media? Social media gives you every kind of opportunity you can think of. And really talking about, the friend or the network bring you a business opportunity. Instagram is going to bring you so many social and entertainment opportunities. So it's like, okay, how am I going to be dealing with this? And then the second thing is, how like with humans, right? When you go to the gym and you work something out physically, you're trying to build muscle, you're trying to get stronger, and the weight becomes lighter and lighter as it becomes stronger and stronger. And, most people who are within the personal development industry understand that you can also build yourself mentally, to be able to take on, maybe more pressure, more situations where you feel like you may be outside of your comfort zone, all that kind of stuff. But I think maybe people may not be as aware of building your mental muscle to catch yourself more.
Yes.
What you said about when you are slipping, it may take you a while at first to catch yourself and stop yourself. But the more you keep catching yourself, the quicker you become at catching yourself as well. I don't know if they can see my hands. The quicker you become at catching yourself as well, right? And I feel like that's also a muscle. Like when you realize, okay, turn it into a game, kind of. Look at yourself, realize that you can actually strengthen your mental muscle in catching yourself so that you're not distracted as long as you used to be. And that in itself can be motivational as well, because you're not just seeing your distractions as, oh no, I'm messing up. You're seeing it as, oh, this is an opportunity for me to get stronger. Let me develop my self-awareness muscle as I'm going about my way. This is fun. This is just, I guess this is what we do. We just jump on and just really just let each other have it.
Yeah, it's great that we understand that process, but also at the same time, like anyone's listening now and they're thinking, yes, but I do it once, I do it twice, and I fail. Like I don't catch myself quick enough. The beauty is you're catching yourself. First of all, so congratulate yourself that you're not going to be sat there and you just scroll off when you get distracted by something else. You're actually catching yourself and thinking, right, okay, I'm aware that of what I'm doing at the moment in time is not on my agenda. That's completely fine. But you've caught yourself, and you're going to learn now to think, okay, I'm going to scroll off. And then next time you do it, and just keep, it's just a repetition and consistency. Sometimes you may completely forget. Go on, Jason.
It's like sport, right? You play offense and defense.
Yeah.
You know, in a game of basketball, game of soccer, whatever sport you're into most, you know, just apply the same principle to it. You go on offense, you shoot, you score, but then you go play defense. You're not always going to save the bucket. Sometimes the enemy is going to get to the hoop. They're going to score. But it's a matter of, you know, bettering your defense and saying, okay, before they had a 50% score rate on us. Well, you know what? Let's work on our defense. Let's work on our self-awareness. Let's bring it down to 40%. Bring it down to 30%. And you know what they say? Defense wins championships. I'm sure, and I've heard it from dudes like, I think Dean Graziosi, or whatever his name is. I feel like I'm being disrespectful now. But, you know, it's not just, with successful people, it's not just what they do, it's what they don't do. And what they don't do is really, that's defense. That's them being able to catch it while they're in the midst of it to make sure that they don't have a high score rate against them. They keep it to a minimal. So that is actually a very powerful thing. It's something that I feel like going forward next week, I'm going to be meditating on now. So thank you for that.
And a great point once again, because we're going towards the end of the podcast now, and I think that's a great point to finish on. But you've just touched on, it's what you don't do. Now, you mentioned earlier on around about the opportunities of wanting to take an opportunity, yes, no, and saying yes to people pleaser. Maybe for you, it's in the fact that, okay, it's what you say no to, like what that guy said. It's what they say no to that makes them successful, or it contributes towards their success. And maybe that's something that you can bring into being aware of kind of what opportunities to take, what opportunities you say no to that are going to further develop your success, if that makes sense.
That's exactly it. That makes absolute sense. Yes. 100%.
Brilliant. Well, Jason, mate, that has absolutely flown by.
Yes.
What some amazing value. I've been making some fantastic little notes in regards to kind of points of the show, which I'll put in the show notes. So if anybody wants to go back, listen to a particular point, I've got some kind of key points in here, which I think are really the value bombs, great pieces of value that I've made. They will be in the show notes there, so you can link to them all. But Jason, is there anything else you want to finish on? You want to leave on? Because I know definitely we're going to be connecting once again and doing something similar, because this is amazing in regards to value. But is there anything that you want to leave or for the listeners at all?
Yeah, surely. Firstly, thanks for having me back again. I feel like as we keep doing this, we'll continue to evolve, because we'll keep having new experiences that we can come in, you know, debrief and have a think tank on. I'm going to do the shameless plug. You know, if you don't know who I am, you're trying to reach me. Instagram is probably like the main platform I usually put out my content throughout, which is just at Coach Badu. And that's Badu spelled B for beta, A for alpha, D for delta, U for umbrella. You got to use the phonetic alphabet to describe it. So at Coach Badu.
Make yourself sound intelligent.
Make myself sound intelligent. You know, wife a Yankee, all those kind of things. But at Coach Badu for Instagram. You can find me just Jason Badu on Facebook. You should see a photo of me just smiling at you. And then also I got my YouTube channel, Dream Key Coaching, which you know, every occasionally was putting out some motivational self-development content on there. Otherwise, you can go to my website as well, dreamkeycoaching.com.au, and just reach out to me, and we can you know, we can connect and see what we can do together as well. But other than that, you know,
amazing.
Keep doing what you're doing. You know, anyone who's out there, it's a journey we're all on. I'm hoping that, you know, some of the value bombs we're dropping today can be of value to you and to get the most out of it as well.
Right. Well, Jason, loved having you on. Great episode. And I know the listeners are going to love this. So, Jason, thank you very much. I know it's night time where you are now. It's my morning. So enjoy the rest of your evening.
100%. It's still got a bit of light out. I might even go maybe play a bit of basketball just to like wind down on a Sunday night. But 100%, you enjoy your weekend as well, and we'll link up again soon.
Great stuff. And Millennials, as I mentioned, some great value there. And if you feel that that's offered some amazing value for you, please hit subscribe, leave a 5-star review. Much appreciated. It just helps other Millennials like yourself find this motivation and the inspiration. Jason, will be back. I know he hasn't said yes, but I guarantee he will be back. And and guys, have an amazing rest of your day. And remember that your habits and your routines will work towards your dreams.